In this tutorial, you will learn how to install the Joomla content management system on a cloud-hosted Linux Ubuntu 20.04 LTS server in a few simple steps. Joomla is an open-source content management system that is built on a model view controller architecture. It provides a web application framework that allows users to create and manage websites, as well as powerful extensions for both the front end and back end of website creation. The CMS includes an interface to create and publish static pages, articles, blog posts, and other types of content. It also includes an interface to manage a website, including the ability to add new pages and articles, upload files, manage permissions, configure menu, assign tags and keywords to articles, create polls or surveys, and a lot more. So let's get started with the installation process. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to deploy the actual Linux Ubuntu 20.04 LTS instance. So sign into your Amazon Web Services account and open up the Lightsail service. Click on the Create Instance button and then click on the Change Region link. So in this case, I'm just going to choose the Paris region, but you can choose any other region that you'd like. Choose the Linux/Unix option, click on OS only, and then select the Ubuntu 20.04 blueprint. Select the $10 plan, and on the Identify Your Instance section, set the name of the instance to Joomla server. Then click on the Create Instance button to deploy the instance. So once the instance has been created, the next thing that I recommend that you do is to set a static IP address on the instance. So click on the Networking tab and click on Create Static IP. Select the Joomla server instance that you've just created, and then set the name for the static IP to Joomla static IP address or any other name that you'd like, and then click on the Create button. But in this case, I'm not going to do that because this is just a demonstration. So click on Home and then copy the public IP address for the instance, and then open up the Amazon Route 53 service. So I'm just going to go into Route 53 now. And once the Route 53 dashboard opens up, click on Hosted Zones. Click on any one hosted zone for your registered domain names, and then click on Create Record. So I'm just going to set the record to Joomla server in my case. In your case, you can set it to whatever you'd like. And then just paste in the public IP address on the value field, and then click on the Create Records button. So we've successfully mapped an A record to the Linux Ubuntu instance. So next, you now need to download the key pair file that will actually allow you to connect to the instance via SSH. So just download that file and then go to your downloads directory. So I'm just going to rename this file to Joomla server key. So I'm just going to set that to Joomla server key, and then I'm going to open up my SSH client. If you're using Windows, you're going to have to use PuTTY. So in my case, I'm going to be using the macOS terminal application. So I'm going to change my working directory to the downloads directory. And then to change the permissions for the file to read only, I'm just going to run the command chmod 400 and then type in the file name for the key pair file. And to connect to the instance via SSH, type in the command sshi, append the file name for the key pair file. And then once you've done that, type in the username Ubuntu at the public IP address for the instance. So I'm just going to copy that from the Lightsail dashboard and just paste that into the terminal. So if you press enter, you should now see a prompt asking you to verify the authenticity of the host. So just type in yes and press enter. So you should be successfully connected to the instance now via SSH. So the first thing that we're going to do is to change to root. So just type in the command sudo su. So once you've changed to root, type in the command hostnamectl, set hostname, and then I'm just going to set the hostname to Joomla server. So if you press enter, you then need to edit the etc host configuration file. So just type in nano and then type in etc hosts. This will then open up the host config file. So in this file, type in 127.0.0.1 and then type in your custom domain name. In my case, it's going to be joomlaserver.mydomainname.com. So if you're going to be using your root domain, it's just going to be your domain.com. But in my case, I'm just going to be using a subdomain. So once you've actually typed this in, just repeat the domain at the end there, and then press Ctrl or press enter, and then press Ctrl X to exit out of the config file. So next, you then need to edit the etc cloud and then cloud.cfg configuration file. And in this file, you need to set the preserve hostname parameter to true. So this should just help to ensure that the custom hostname that we've set will actually persist across the reboots that will actually happen in the future. So press Ctrl or press enter, and then press Ctrl X to exit out of that file. So next, I'm just going to run another, I'm going to reboot the system now. Or actually, before I reboot, let me just install some updates. So I'm just going to run the command apt update. So this will then go through to then download some essential updates that you'll need to complete this installation. I was going to do it after I restarted the instance, but let me just install now and then reboot later. So once the update process is complete, you can then reboot or restart the instance. So just issue out the command reboot and then press enter. So next, we're then going to install the Apache web server, PHP, MariaDB, and also download the Joomla CMS web application files and dependencies. So reconnect to the instance via SSH, and then once you've successfully connected to the instance, you then need to change to root once again. So just type in the command sudo su. So next, you then need to run the command apt install apache 2. So that should then go through to then download the Apache web server. So just type in Y and press enter, and it should then quickly go through the installation. It largely depends on the performance of your internet connection. So once the installation is complete, you need to start the web server. So just type in the command systemctl start apache 2. And you need to enable the service to start whenever the server restarts. So just type in the command systemctl enable apache 2. So next, I'm going to paste in a command that will then install PHP and a few essential PHP extensions that are also needed for this installation. So once that installation is complete, you then need to edit the php.ini configuration file. So you need to change your working directory to the etc php 7.4 and then apache 2 directory. And in this directory, you just need to issue out the command nano php.ini. So once you go into that file, we're just going to make a few config changes in this file. Okay, so in this file, we're going to make a modification to a few parameters actually. So I'm going to change the memory limit. So let me just search for memory limit there, and I'm going to increase that limit to about, let me see, I think I'm going to set that to 256 megabits of memory. And then I'm also going to increase the upload limit for any file uploads that are actually going to be happening to this server. Currently it's set to 2 megabytes. So I'm just going to increase that to 2 gigs. So I'm just going to type in 2048 for that. And then the other parameter that I'm going to adjust is the post max size parameter. So I'm just going to search for post max, and I'm going to set this parameter to 2 gigs as well. So I'm just going to set that to 2048 as well. So there's a few other parameters that need to be adjusted as well. So I'm going to search for the max execution parameter, and I'm going to set that to 300 seconds actually. So I'm just going to set that to 300, and also I'm going to check the output buffering parameter. I think this is configured okay. Let me see here. Let me just also adjust the date.time zone parameter, and I'm actually going to set that to my current time zone. So you also need to make these adjustments for your environment so that the Joomla CMS can run efficiently. And also so you don't face issues when you try to upload a large article, or when you try to upload a large video, or when you try to download or upload a large file to the site. Okay, So just press Ctrl or press enter and then press Ctrl X to exit out of the PHP config file. So finally, you then need to restart the Apache 2 system service so that the changes you've made will actually take effect. So just type in the command systemctl restart Apache 2. And then I'm just going to check the status of the Apache service so that just to ensure that the changes we've made have not negatively impacted the service. So next, we're then going to install MariaDB. So you just need to copy and paste that command to install the database engine. And then once the installation is complete, I'm then going to go through the MySQL secure installation procedure. So just type in the command MySQL underscore secure underscore installation. So you need to proceed by responding to the prompts as I am doing now. And then once you've completed this process, your MariaDB installation should be a lot more secure. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a database. So this database is going to be used by Joomla to save all of the content, the data that you're actually going to be generating from the CMS. So just issue out the command create database Joomla, and then copy and paste that command to create a user as well as a password for that user, and grant that particular user to the Joomla database that we've just created. And then finally, you then need to flush privileges and exit out of the MariaDB monitor. So once the database creation process is complete, I'm going to first install a utility called unzip, because when we actually download Joomla, it's going to download as a zip archive file. And we're going to need unzip to actually unzip that archive file. So next, you then need to copy and paste that command to download the Joomla web application. You can actually check for the latest download link from the official Joomla website, or you can just copy and paste my command here to complete your installation. Once the download is complete, if you run the ls command, you should see the joomla.zip file that you've just downloaded. So I'm going to use the unzip utility to unzip the joomla.zip file. So as you can see, the unzip process is now in progress. Once the unzip process is complete, I'm then going to run another command to change the owner of the Joomla directory to the www data user. And then next, I'm then going to run another command to create a joomla.conf file, and then you need to paste in that configuration. So this is basically a virtual host configuration file that tells Apache as to how exactly to load up the Joomla web application. So just press Ctrl or press enter and then press Ctrl X to exit out of the file. And then I'm then going to run another command to enable the joomla.conf config file. And then I'm going to restart the Apache system service so that it knows that existence of this configuration file, where to find it, and how to load it. So let me just run a status check on the Apache service, and as you can see, the service is still running. So the next thing you need to do is you need to restart the Apache system service. So just issue out the command systemctl restart Apache 2. Once the restart process is complete, you then need to disable the default Apache 2 virtual host. So move into the etc Apache 2 sites enabled directory. In this directory, just issue out the ls command. And the virtual host that we're going to disable is the default virtual host. So just type in the command a2 this site and then type in the file name for the virtual host configuration file. So you now need to reload and restart the Apache 2 system service for the changes to take effect. Okay, so I'm going to open up a new browser window and then type in the URL for the Joomla server. And as you can see, the Joomla installer is now loaded up. So I'm just going to select the language for the installation. In my case, I'm just going to set that to English United States. I'm also going to set up the site name. So I'm just going to paste in my domain name, which is joomlaserver.mydomainname.com. In your case, this could be different. So click on the setup login data button and then type in the username that you'd like to use to log into the system. So in my case, I'm just going to use administrator. I'm going to type in a password on the set the password field, and I'm also going to type in my email address and then click on the setup database button. So type in the username for the database and also type in the password for the username that has access to the database, as well as enter the database name on the appropriate field. So once you've made these changes, click on the install Joomla button. As you can see, the Joomla installation is now complete. So if you click on complete and open site, you should then see the front end for the website, or for the Joomla site actually. And this is what the default site looks like. So let's take a look at the administration dashboard as well. So if you just type in /administrator, you should then also see the administration dashboard for the Joomla system. And there you have it. So first you need to log in. So I'm just going to type in administrator as the username that I've configured, as well as the password that I actually configured during installation, and then click on login. And there you have it. This is the administration dashboard for the Joomla CMS. So here, this is where you can configure your menus, your content. You can also add components. You can create users. You can also make modifications to the system. You can basically make all of your site administration related tasks from this dashboard. So I'm just going to try to install an update. So if you check under notifications, if there's any update available, you should actually see it there. So if you click on that button, you should then see a check that will actually check through to see if your Joomla system is compatible. If you click on update and then click on the start update button, so that should then update the Joomla CMS to the latest version available. So in my case, at the time of recording of this video, the latest version is version 4.0.4. So next, we're going to secure the Joomla CMS with a free Let's Encrypt SSL certificate. So to do this, there are a few packages that need to be installed. But before I show you how to do that, you can actually see that the connection that I'm actually currently using is marked as not secure. And the browser is actually blatantly telling me that the connection is not secure. So I'm just going to reconnect to the server via SSH, and then I'm going to install a utility called certbot and a few other Python packages that it also needs. So just copy and paste that command, and this should then run through the installation. So once the installation is complete, I'm going to make a modification to the file for the instance. So you just need to return back to the Lightsail dashboard for the instance, and then you need to open up HTTPS port 443. So just open up that port on the IPv4 file for the instance. And once that port has been opened, you then need to then return back to the SSH terminal. So you need to run the command sudo certbot apache and then specify the D parameter. And then after that, type in your domain name. So basically telling certbot of the domain name that would like to secure with a free Let's Encrypt SSL certificate. So once you press enter, you should now see the certificate request and configuration process now in progress. So this process should not take more than 5 minutes. So the utility is now asking to choose whether to redirect HTTP request to HTTPS. So I've actually chosen to redirect all requests to HTTPS. So if you return back to the Joomla dashboard and refresh the page, you should actually see that the connection is actually now marked as secure. So if I click on the lock icon on the address field, you can actually see that the connection is now marked as secure. And that's the Let's Encrypt SSL certificate there. So that's it. That's a quick take at how you can install the Joomla CMS. I hope this tutorial has been informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.